Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Tash.
And I am Damo the Great.
And together, we are so excited to bring you the Bari Chronicles.
On today's episode, we thought we would introduce Tash so you can get to know a little bit about who she is, her weight loss surgery journey, and some of our hopes for this podcast.
We will also bring you a segment that makes our foodie hearts happy. Deals for tiny tummies. A little slice of foodie heaven featuring our favourite products for our weight loss surgery lives.
And in the future, we will introduce you to the wonderful and inspiring people that we have the privilege of knowing. These people come from all walks of life, but a common thread ties us all together, and that thread is weight loss surgery. But for today, we wanted you to get to know us better. So it's time to chat. Tash!
Yes, Damo.
So, what brought you to the point of your first weight loss surgery? Because I know you've had two.
I have had two. My very first weight loss surgery was way back when lap bands ruled the weight loss surgery world. And it was suggested to me because I'd been in a couple of car accidents and I had a massive hernia as a result of the car accident. And in order to be able to fix the hernia, I needed to lose weight, and I just had our fourth child.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was just what was suggested. I hadn't been able, we'd been in the car accident and it was only 5 weeks. I was only 5 weeks postpartum at that point, and it was just obviously very hard to exercise very much in those, first few weeks. And basically, after I blew out that big hernia, I was just unable to get my weight to come back down again.
Yeah. It's people don't realise the effect that a car accident can have on your whole body and your ability to be able to just bounce back from stuff like that.
Yeah, I really didn't have the ability to be able to bounce back at that time, and the insurance company took its time to decide who was going to pay for things as they do. And anyway, we ended up paying for me to have the lap band surgery so that we could get my weight to come down, so that the hernia repair could be done. And really, the lap band is the thing in my life that I regret doing the most.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what happened with that?
Well, for me, from my experience, I had it put in and I really had nothing but dramas with it. I was always vomiting, eating foods that were going to be of high nutritional value was extremely difficult. Things that just slid on past the band were much easier. I did lose weight. I lost about 20 kilograms, but honestly, for the amount of pain that I was in all the time with it, and the vomiting and all of those things, it really didn't seem like it was worth it. And unfortunately for me, one day I woke up and I was just unable to get anything to stay down at all. And we waited about 12 hours, then we contacted the surgeon's rooms, and he said that I better come in, and I ended up having a total gut obstruction. So
wow.
The band had slipped and sort of flipped on itself, and there was no way for anything to go down, no food, no water. So I had to have emergency surgery to have that. I thought it was being removed, but they just replaced it, and it ended up doing a similar thing again. It wasn't as bad the second time, but I ended up having it removed.
Wow. So you went back to your original surgeon and had that removed?
No, I didn't go back to the original surgeon. Actually, after a period of time, the original surgeon didn't want to have anything to do with that anymore. So it was actually a very beautiful, wonderful gynecologist who found a surgeon that was willing to remove the band from me, and I will always be incredibly grateful for that. So anyway, that whole period of time in my life was just an absolute nightmare. It was so stressful. I spent a lot of time in hospital. I was very unwell, and it impacted my whole family. And I have so much regret that I ever went down the path of a lap band.
Yeah.
So basically I ended up swearing off weight loss surgery. I couldn't imagine ever putting myself in that position again, and I decided that I would just never do it.
Yeah, that's incredible. So you have never named or shamed your original surgeon.
Yeah.
And the surgeon that actually took it out, do you think that would have affected their relationship? Do you think
I don't know. I suppose I think that it probably could have. At that time, the surgeon that removed the band from me was a younger surgeon, and he just said that he just couldn't leave me like that. And I will always be profoundly and completely grateful that he was that sort of person, and that he made it possible for me to just really go on with my life at that point. And at that point I had younger children. I just wanted to be well. That was all that I wanted. I just wanted to be able to function, and that was what had been taken away from me at that point. The band was just a terrible experience for me personally. So I was very grateful for a long time. Unfortunately though, my weight continued to climb. So I was never I just wasn't able to get on top of the habits, I suppose, the things that had happened to me. I ate my feelings, and I ate a lot of my emotions. I had things that were quite sad, I suppose, happen in my childhood, and I developed some pretty unhealthy coping mechanisms as a young person. I did the best I could. I think we all do.
And definitely.
Yeah, for me, I turned to food. And so even after the lap band situation, I turned back to food. And unfortunately, it just sort of snowballed from there.
And I think most of us would find that for all the diets we try and everything, our body tends to always fight to go back to a even higher weight than what we started at.
It did with me. My setting point just seemed to keep increasing and increasing. And by this time I'd had 5 amazing children, and my body just never ever wanted to bounce back to a lower weight. It was always increasing, and my health had suffered after I had the hernia and all of those things, and my weight continuing to increase. I started to experience a lot of different gynecological issues, and I had problems with my blood sugar. I had problems with my blood pressure, and everything was just increasing in that regard. So it was just becoming a situation where I knew full well the way that my health was heading, because I had family members that had been bigger people. I knew what heart disease looked like. I knew the different types of cancers that were possible and all of those things, and I didn't want to go down the same path. I was desperate to not ever, I suppose, if it was within my power to help shield my family from those kinds of things. I wanted to be able to do that. And of course we know that some of those things are just indiscriminate, and it doesn't matter what you do, but I didn't want to have my lifestyle contributing to anything like that.
Yeah. So for so many of us that have had weight loss surgery, there's the mental health aspect.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we touch on that?
No, not at all.
All right. So, in your younger and teenage years, you were quite an amazing ballet dancer.
Yeah.
You went to a Russian ballet school. So, obviously, you had a certain body type to be able to do that.
I did, yes.
How does that affect you mentally, going from that sort of potential career to where you're needing weight loss surgery?
So that was a ballet summer school, and that was an incredible opportunity, and it was actually an injury that put all of that on hold. And I look back on that, and I think that was probably the start of it for me. I knew, based on the fact that I had that injury, that the career that I wanted was probably never going to happen, and
wow.
I started eating.
Is that because you'd sort of restricted yourself so much to achieve
absolutely. That? I definitely had disordered eating patterns that had grabbed a hold of me early on, and it was really quite sad. When I look back on it now, I feel quite sad for young me, because I really believed that I needed to be a certain way. I had to have a certain body type, and in that particular industry, I had to have a certain body type in order to be able to succeed at what I wanted to do. So as I felt that slipping through my fingers, getting to the point where you need weight loss surgery is just the most confronting thing.
And because there was always, and still is, such a weight bias, isn't there? You know, and back then, especially in the 80s and 90s, if you were over a certain size, forget about ever being let on stage to dance, because no one wanted to see that fat, chubby person dancing.
Well, I will never forget. It was an audition for a big. It was a big deal anyway. It was I won't name the event or anything, but I auditioned with the group that I was in, and everybody was accepted but the little chubby girl. And that little chubby girl was me. And that was announced over a microphone to hundreds of people. And that I think was probably the start of the eating disorder that I had when I was younger. And then disordered eating just sort of followed on. I struggled a lot as I got older, my later teens, my early 20s. I really, really struggled in myself so much. And then after the birth of my first child, my weight just had ballooned, and it just kept on. I just kept on yo-yoing between, and every time I'd yo-yo up, I'd go just that little bit higher, and I'd never quite get back to where I was.
Yeah. So do you think it's an important thing for people that are looking at having weight loss surgery to explore any potential mental health issues?
Absolutely, 100%. I think that the mental health aspect of the weight loss surgery journey cannot be understated, it cannot be overstated just how important it is.
Yeah.
I was so trapped for so long in my own shame spiral, I suppose, that I just could not see a way out. And it really took a lot of intervention. It took some psychological help for me to be able to see that there was any kind of value in me, because I'd lost so many potential careers and potential things that I had wanted to do because of my increased size, that I just loathed myself so totally and completely.
Yeah, and that doesn't just disappear after successful weight loss surgery, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So you went on to have a bypass?
I did. I went on to have gastric bypass, and it was wonderful. I at my highest weight, I was, up over 150 kilos, and
you're a very small frame. I mean, you're on your way to the Australian Ballet.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for an injury, so a very small frame person with 150 kilos.
Yeah, it was just, that's a really, really significant amount of weight on a small body. And for me, it was when I had gastric bypass and suddenly my weight started to decrease. It felt incredible, but it also felt so confronting, because suddenly I was living in a world again where people noticed me and people saw me, and I'd been invisible for years.
And isn't that amazing? And I think that goes back to the weight bias, where the bigger we are, the more invisible we can be. That's a lot to deal with when suddenly, I'm losing weight, so now I'm acceptable.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. It was something that I struggled with, desperately struggled with.
So I'm assuming that in your sort of circle, there would have been people that had never noticed you before.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There were people that just were completely, unaware of my existence. And it's such a strange dynamic when suddenly people that have never spoken to you before start talking to you after 8 years, 9 years of seeing you, even on a daily basis, at pickup, school pickup or drop off, those sorts of things. It's just
so would they
really
actually just come up and introduce themselves, or as if
people did that, and I decided early on, because as we'd already discussed, I did have the lap band situation. So I had lost 20 kilos before, so I did know that I knew that people would probably treat me a little differently, but wow.
Yeah, that's...
Wow. Like when people come up and introduce themselves, so I decided that I was going to be kind, because honestly, being bitter and resentful about the way that I was treated would be like, me drinking poison and hoping that someone else would die.
So, I do understand that.
Yeah.
So, because so often people that have weight loss surgery almost get accused of their personality changing after they lose weight. Do you think that's a thing, or do you think it's a combination of a few things? Or my personality and the way that I am now would probably appear to be really different to people that didn't know me well. Yeah.
I think that I have had some fundamental moments in my life that have taken place over the last few years that have caused me to change as a person. Weight loss surgery is probably one of them, but my confidence has increased, and what I feel I deserve has also not what I feel I deserve has increased, but my ability to ask for what I deserve has increased.
Because suddenly you don't have to be that happy fat friend that never makes a scene, or
that doesn't
doesn't say, hey, I don't like the way you're treating me, don't do that.
I'm definitely really well able now to speak up for myself, and also I would hope that I speak up fairly for others too.
Yes, and I have noticed that actually on occasions when we've been out, when someone makes a comment about someone else, you certainly let people know where your boundary is in regards to how people are being treated.
Yeah, because it's okay to have boundaries. It's incredibly healthy, actually.
Yeah. So something that I've been asked a number of times, and we've seen on our support page that gets asked a number of times, is relationship breakdowns after weight loss surgery, and you know, do you think it's a given that everyone's going to have major issues in their relationship? Or
no, I don't, but I do believe that relationships change. I think for some people, relationships just become all the better, the sweeter. They were already possibly quite good to start with. But I think that weight loss surgery can certainly highlight differences, and rapid changes can be really difficult to navigate if change is something that one or the other party struggle with. So I think that it really depends on the people involved, whether they struggle or not.
Yeah, so probably with relationships, like with mental health, and getting help on that journey, even leading up to weight loss surgery, do you think it's a good idea for people to sort of go on that journey together in their relationship and have that open communication? That, you know, I know when Kim had weight loss surgery, I was sort of feeling a little bit, is she going to suddenly get all this attention? But I realized that was a me problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
It wasn't a her problem. No, she was doing it for her health, and whatever reason she was doing it for was totally up to her.
Yeah.
It wasn't my right to dictate to her, to my wife, how she should go about it, or whether she should do it, or whatever. And I realised that I am a very introspective sort of person, and I like to challenge myself.
Yeah.
But I think for some people, it's like their partner can almost take it like a slap in the face.
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? Like, personal growth is probably the key to this whole journey. Like, it's been 5 years now, nearly 5 years since I had gastric bypass. And over those 5 years, what I've realized is that if I am not growing and I'm not allowing myself to change, and also the other people in my life to change and develop, and we grow together, then really we're just staying in a stagnant place. And that's not who I am as a person. I love growth. I love to challenge myself. I love to change. And that's just become something that I've had to adopt, I think, as a mindset. And I think that going into weight loss surgery, and with relationships particularly, if we can have that growth mindset, if we can think about the way that we can develop together, then the relationships get stronger. But I think if values aren't the same, or at least aligned in some way, then relationships can be pretty difficult to maintain.
Yeah. So it's not so much the losing weight. It's just, suddenly you're able to do more, and maybe you want to. It was always someone's dream to go bushwalking.
Yeah.
And so they're like, "Hey, I've lost. How much did you lose?"
I've lost 100 kilos.
Wow. So okay, I've lost 100 kilos. You know what? I'm going to tackle that mountain.
Yes,
I'm going to walk it. But suddenly your partner, they might be used to your thing on a Saturday is rolling out of bed, cooking breakfast, and then sitting on the couch for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And if they've gotten used to that and they're not on the same journey as you, do you think that's where the issues
absolutely. That scenario is just so common. Most of us that have been larger or whatever, for whatever reason, I know for me anyway, I became very much a house hermit. I was at home most of the time. I didn't like to attract attention. I didn't want to be out. I didn't want to be doing the things that I loved because I hated the looks, the stares, the comments. So for me, once that was no longer an issue, once that barrier was removed, I set about making sure that I broke other barriers.
Yeah.
And watching that, for my partner or whatever, for my children, it's a strange thing. They're watching this person that's been very much a homebody, very much quiet and reserved, suddenly going to the gym, suddenly going out for coffee all the time, suddenly we don't lie in bed on Saturday, we don't sit on the couch, we go out, we shop, we walk, we go to the botanic gardens, we deliberately place ourselves in situations where we might be swimming, we might be at the water slides, we could be doing anything. But for me, I suppose the thing that I've learned is that they're all the things that were like stored up inside my heart, the things that I wanted to be able to do.
Yeah.
But I just didn't feel that I was in a place to be able to do them. So in my heart, I was no different. I was the same. I was just living the life that I wanted to live on the inside, on the outside.
Instead of watching someone on YouTube do it.
That's right. Instead of watching someone do it, I was doing it.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. But confronting for other people that are looking on, going, oh my God, you have totally changed. Well, no, I haven't. It's just that I can now do the things that I wanted to do.
Yeah. Incredible. I think it would probably even be worth for people starting on their journey going, this is what I want to be achieving down the track, so that when you're getting to your goals.
Absolutely.
I mean, even for me, I had a time where I could barely move off a couch, and since moving to Victoria and having some treatments and stuff, which we'll talk about another time, but I'm able to go shopping and doing more, and we've joined the local swimming pool so that we can go swimming and do all that sort of stuff that I've only ever really dreamed about.
Yeah.
But starting to actually do it,
and embrace your life.
Yeah, because we've only got one life to live.
We do, and the saddest thing I think would be to have weight loss surgery and not actually change in terms of, well, for me anyway, it would have been that awful feeling of still living exactly the same way, because I felt just so limited and held back. And quite interestingly, I think the whole pandemic thing had us locked indoors for 2 years, and for me anyway, it's just made me so determined to truly live my life, to go out, to enjoy things, to go to my local carols at Christmas, to be the person who's in the middle of Queen Vic markets in Melbourne when there's thousands and thousands of other people there, and be okay with that, because we do only have one life to live, and let's not waste a single day of it.
Yeah, even if you haven't had weight loss surgery.
That's right.
How often would we tie ourselves up inside because we were overweight,
and we just felt so bad. But you know what? Life is for living, and that is the thing that I think it's just become so real to me, and so important, that we don't just sit back and watch life pass us by. I did that, and that is my biggest regret. My biggest regret is that my older children didn't see, even as a bigger person, what they experienced was a very shut down, closed down mother. And I have so much regret that was their experience. But I have made so many changes, and I'm so determined that is not how I want to live on the inside anymore.
And I think the kids would have been fine with you doing that at your biggest.
Probably,
just to have you there.
They probably would have been, and they're the things that I can't change, and the things and that time that we can't get back. So regardless of size, regardless of how big you are, if there's things that you're wanting to do, don't allow a number to be the determining factor in your life.
Wow.
Just go out there and live your life, because no matter your size, you are worthy of taking up space in this world, and you don't have to sit in your room or in your home and feel like you can't participate, because you can.
Yeah. And I'm absolutely loving this conversation today. You know, where we've been talking about our vision for our stream, our podcast, and really what it is trying to inspire people to live their best life regardless of where they're at.
I mean, I was a mum of 5 who basically the reason that I grew enough belief in myself to be able to have weight loss surgery, and what actually sparked it, that I would even go down that path again, was I had done a course. I wanted to be able to get out of the work that I'd been doing. I'd been running my own business for a number of years, but I wanted to be able to move out of that and into something else. And I'd done this course. I'd done two courses, and it was my graduation ceremony. And I arrived and there were no robes that would fit me. Wow. Walking across the stage in a robe that was far too small, I decided that night, if me, just an ordinary person, but a mum of 5, can get up and actually do a course like this and graduate, maybe I can change my physical appearance as well. Maybe I can get a hold of my health. Maybe I can change the way that I'm able to go about my days. Maybe I can become more active. And that night was the night that I changed my health insurance, and that was the day that I decided that I was going to have gastric bypass surgery. And all it takes is just a tiny little bit of belief. But honestly, if you don't have any, then feel free to borrow mine.
Or reach out to us. You know, we want to be here to support people.
Because honestly, your life, your future is so worth it. It's worth the fight and the struggle. So yeah, you know, like don't give up on yourself. I mean, I had given up on myself, but from that day, I decided, no, that's it. And it was just one thing after another until eventually I had gastric bypass surgery. And my life today is so far removed from how it was then. It was hard, but it was absolutely worth it.
Yeah, wow. So, one last question.
Yeah.
What would you say to that original surgeon?
You know, there's been a few times where I thought about sending photos of myself now. But honestly, what I would say is thank you, because I've learned how I would never treat people.
Wow. Yep.
From you.
That is amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for being so open.
No, you're welcome.
With us today. Now, one of my favourite times is deals for tiny tummies.
So this week on Deals for Tiny Tummies, we are going to be talking about Health Lab. So Health Lab is a little product that I stumbled across during this past week.
Oh my goodness.
They do these protein balls. Now, they have a whole range, but the one that I tried is Health Lab Caramel, White Caramel, Salted Caramel Filled Balls. Now, they're plant-based and they're gluten-free, which for me is important. I have celiac disease, and I also have quite severe reactive hypoglycemia, which you can get post-weight loss surgery. It's a complication. It's manageable, but for me, it's been a contributing factor in some of the restrictions that I have with products that I can eat. Now, this product is a little bit higher in carbs than what I would usually eat. So each ball has 15.6 grams of carbohydrates, and it's got 9 grams of fat and 2.1 grams of protein. So normally I would err on the side of having something that's a bit higher in protein, but oh my God, you need to put these in your mouth.
I was lucky enough to be here when they arrived.
And oh my gosh.
And my goodness, if you're going to put balls in your mouth.
Yeah. these are absolutely the ones. Like just amazing.
They taste like, this particular one tasted like a Bounty bar. Bounty?
Yeah.
The coconut and it just took me straight back to that happy place as a kid when I had a Bounty bar, because I loved them. And having one
we
of
could
these,
just share one.
Yeah, we shared one, and it was so good.
Yeah.
Would be even better with a cup of coffee.
Yeah, so totally recommend. Do yourself a favor, go and find them. So that was Health Lab caramel, white caramel, salted caramel filled balls. Yum.
Plant-based and gluten-free.
Now, we want the Bari Chronicles to be a place where we can discuss your stories. So if you would like to share about your journey, the good, the bad, the awesome, or the shitty.
Actually, on shitty, I've got a shitty.
Okay, well,
a quick shitty story. Kim and I were out the other day, and we went past this nice looking, well, it was a food court and one of the stall things in there, and I thought, you know what, their spring rolls and that looked fantastic, tasted fantastic. I looked hilarious, squeezing my butt cheeks together, running to the toilet.
Gosh. Oh no. Yes. Well, I think that most of us have at least one story like that. But look, we would love to hear yours. So if you want to be able to share them with us, and we would love for you to do that, then you can email us at contact, that's CONTACT, at barichronicles.com. So that's BARICHRONICLES.com.
Awesome. On our next episode, we're going to be talking to a really good friend of ours and someone that we really care about. His name's Chen. He had his gastric bypass about 4 months ago and had huge difficulties, and it was actually a really scary time for his whole family, for everyone that cared about him or cares about him, being that he did survive and we will be talking to him. But we're going to be talking to him and hearing about what happened, where he is now, how he's going, how he sees his future, and
can't wait.
We actually found out that he's having some more treatments, so that's going to be great. But we're going to hear all about that, and we're really excited about that.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited to hear what's up next for Chen. So thank you for joining us today on the Bari Chronicles. We're proudly sponsored by... Anyway, if you would like to sponsor an episode, then please get in touch with us at Kaching... No, I'm kidding. No. Contact us again on the email address. And yeah, we would really love to hear from you. Thanks for listening, and stay safe out there.
See you guys.